Hey, what's up guys? Quick video today. I wanted to make a video on the mindset of top performers. I'm actually on vacation right now, end of the year, and I realized in the 3 years I've been making content, I haven't made a single one about mindset. That being said, if you know me personally or you've watched the channel for a long time, you know I generally hate the mindset stuff. Not that it's not important, but I think so many people make that its own thing. They start to overcomplicate their entire workflow, their entire job, their entire existence because they're like, I need to fix my mindset, when instead there's actually really easy tactical things you can do to probably improve rather quickly. But that being said, again, over the span of a 5, 10, 20-year career, I do think mindset's important. I do see a very consistent pattern and difference of, say, the top 5% from the rest of the pack. It's not only myself having been a 2-time President's Club winner, but also now coaching thousands of reps at some of the best companies in the world. There are very repeatable things that top performers are doing that the average rep is not. And I've got a couple points on this. I'm not going to draw this video out too long, but I actually wanted to start with a story that really stood out to me from my own athletic career. This is something that somebody really talked about in passing, and I don't think they thought was that significant, but for whatever reason, it just really stood out to me. And I don't want to get too lost in the details by any means, but this was talking about a UFC fight. I was actually training for team handball. I'm a former national team athlete myself, and we were relaxing after training one day, watching some pre-fight stuff on Friday before the fight on Saturday. And they were showing the two fighters. One, let's just say Conor McGregor, for the sake of example, in his prime, he was the champion, he was defending his title, and his opponent was getting their first ever major UFC fight and ability to fight for the belt. The thing that really stood out to me, and again, I don't want to blow this wide open, this is why I hate the mindset stuff. Some people would take this story and make a 10-part series and sell you a course for it. That's not really what this is about. But they were showing the fighters on Friday preparing in the empty arena. So they were like, hey, here's Conor McGregor, here's the other fighter with their crew. And the difference that stood out to me, and the funny thing that my buddy said that just stuck with me for whatever reason, is they were showing the two fighters and my buddy was like, yeah, I mean, Conor's going to win this easily. Who do you think? And he was referring to watching them both in the arena on Friday. Conor McGregor and his staff were in the octagon. They were planning out, they were feeling the different spots on the floor, they were talking about their strategy, they were planning all of these different things. And then when they showed the other fighter who was getting their first major fight in the UFC, who was finally having that chance to fight for the title, they're walking in with their camera, they're taking pictures of the arena, they're like all up and down, they're taking, selfies, they're posting on Instagram with their boys, they're like, me and my crew, we're here, ready to take on the world. And that just really stood out to me because, again, like, the people that are winning consistently, like, there's definitely something to coming up from, call it nothing, if you will, to then ultimately consistently starting to win. But when you actually start to get to the place where you're winning consistently and you understand what it takes, you're never going to show up to an arena and act like you're there for your first time or like, can't wait to fight for the title today. You're not worried about any of that shit. And that's something, for whatever reason, that just stood out to me so much. I mean, I'm guilty of that even in my own career. I trained with Team USA for about 3 years before I even got to play internationally. The first tournament we had, took pictures, was so excited to be there and show everybody that I was playing around the world and all these different things. And again, tech sales is maybe not that deep. You're not contending for the world championship every single day. But I think there's so many people, whether you're trying to break in, whether you're a rep right now and you're trying to promote, or you're trying to get President's Club for the first time, you think, oh, if I could just get there, and you're so excited, you've got it built up in your mind that when you win that President's Club award, you're going to post on LinkedIn, everything's going to be dandy. The top performers and the people that are excelling at a high level for 5 to 10 to 20 years in this career, they're not even thinking about shit like that at all. So again, I'm not here to like burst your bubble. It's definitely exciting. It's definitely worth striving for. But again, the effort it takes to win one time is very different over time than what it's going to take to consistently be at the top, 5 to 10% of your org. And so actually getting into just a few tactical things that I think help that. Again, I don't sit at home and think about mindset. I honestly just enjoy what I do. I mean, for the last 3 years, we've been building higher levels on the side of our day jobs. We've been working 80 to 100-hour weeks. I don't post about that. I don't brag about that to other people. It's just like, again, once you get to the point where you're actually starting to excel, now here's the actual tactical things that are going to help you sustain that and improve that over time. And I think especially if you're breaking in or early on in your career, you absolutely have to be the person that's willing to research before you ask questions. You're not going to waste half a day or, a couple weeks trying to research something if you can't find the answer. But I see so many people, especially early on in their career, whether they're breaking in or SDRs, that think, 30 minutes with me is going to solve their problem, or direct messaging me. And yeah, I can definitely help. There's no question about that. But if you don't have the ability to research on your own, if you're not taking chances and trying to network and, do what you can to not just see me on YouTube and think, oh, Eric's the expert, let me just get in front of him. There are so many things you can do on your own to position yourself as a good candidate or to ultimately promote that. I just see there's so many resources out there now that people are not taking advantage of. If you're the kind of person that's going up to your peers and asking them for help before you've done a lick of research, or you can't do simple, basic, like your first thought is not, oh, I don't know the answer to this question, let me research it on Google or YouTube, you're probably going to struggle because you're going to be very dependent on other people. And that also, especially if you're breaking in or early on in your career, signals to me that you're the kind of person that is not going to take the chance to research it, probably fail a little bit on your own, but still work through the problem that is challenging and actually get to a result that is, for the most part, correct and or allows you to move forward. So just restating again, I think the biggest thing that I see top performers do is they are willing to take on things on their own. They're willing to research first before thinking, oh, let me ask someone for the answer, or let me try and find a shortcut here and there. The next one that is absolutely a must over time, you're not going to have this figured out from day one, but the smartest people that I see over time that are top performers are building systems. And the challenging part about this is early on in your career, this is going to require you to work 60 to 80 hour weeks and be very, very inefficient. But over time, as you start to realize patterns or certain things that are converting more than others, or certain things you've been spending 20 hours a week on that are a complete waste of your time, you will get to a point, and top performers are absolutely ruthless with either systematizing things that can largely be automated, or just getting rid of things altogether that are not productive at all. This is honestly why we built higherlevels.com over time. Chris and I, who is the co-founder, I'm sure some of you may have seen him on our podcast, but so much of the sales training is how to phrase your cold call opener, or how to change your email, or this 7-step sequence changed my life, or blah, blah, blah. And I think there's so much more to sales today that people are not teaching when it comes to systematizing your work. People don't even know where to look. So it's like, again, you can tweak that cold call opener, you can change your cadence, you can insert this email into your cadence that gets a 35% open rate. But at the same time, like that's the surface level of systematizing and optimizing things. Whereas actually knowing where to find reports, where to look through your CRM, how to structure your entire day, your entire territory. These are the details that, again, 5 to 10% of people are doing. They're either figuring out on their own or learning from top performers. But I would say 80+% of reps don't even know the questions to ask. They're not even putting that much time or focus into their day job, and they're not even thinking about how could I do this more efficiently. But just a few remaining points. I think one of the biggest things I also see, the mindset, if you will, faltering of some reps who have a lot of early success in their career, is they squeeze onto that and they think, yes, I found it. And I say this from my own experience. I crushed it as an SMB and mid-market rep, and I really thought that I had figured it out. And really, honestly, a lot of the reason was because I was selling something highly technical. I was more willing than most reps to actually learn the ins and outs of the tech, and just knowing the product did not make me a killer rep. But at the end of the day, there's so many horrible reps that, don't really take the time to learn a highly technical product, and they go to sell it. And SMB companies in particular, CTOs of these smaller companies, get so annoyed by salespeople. So me actually being on top of it, knowing my stuff, really helped me stand out selling to SMB and mid-market accounts. But I see so many reps that get to that point, myself included, and they think, yes, I figured it out. I've been 2 times President's Club winner. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then they go to the enterprise side, and it's just a completely different game. When you're selling to 20 to 50 accounts as opposed to 300, the same systems and the same, repeatability and mass outreach and things that you systematize that you're still doing at a high level, but it's just when you're not selling to 300 to 1,000 accounts and you're really focused on 20 to 50, it's just a different beast altogether, and it's much more about relationships. And that's an entire video in of itself. But again, going back to my earlier analogy of the fighters that I talked about, I think so many people think, oh, if I could just win, if I could just figure out, what it takes to be number one, if I could just break in, then I'll be set. And you get there and you're like, yes, I figured it out. And you hold on to that, and you're reluctant to change and evolve over time. I don't know how long this video is at this point. I got 2 last points for you. One, I think honestly, non-negotiable here. I don't need you to be like a world-class athlete, but I do see top performers that are generally speaking healthy. They take care of themselves. They're exercising 3 to 4 times a week minimum, and they're arguably in good shape. I think, not going to have the conversation about drinking or drugs and all that stuff, but again, I think moderation at most. A lot of top performers I see over over time are starting to not really drink that much or just save it for customer events or company events over time. Always exceptions to that. I'm not going to take a hard stance of like you don't drink or whatever it might be. But again, generally speaking, healthy, generally know that if they let go of their fitness over time, it's going to impact their ability to show up. And I think that's just something you have to get consistent at, even if you're not a huge fan. You don't have to be a world-class athlete, but get out there 3 to 4 times a week minimum. And lastly, I know there's a lot of people breaking into this that have a ton of energy and enthusiasm. I know you want to come in and do things different, or maybe be that lone wolf or be that person that's not going to take no for an answer. And yeah, that's good. Like channel that in the right way. But I do think there's a lot of people, myself included. Again, I did sales because in my opinion, it is the best job you can have while working for someone else. I was an engineer with a steady paycheck. I hated it. I wanted to hit the ground running. I wanted to do whatever it took to never be in a steady salary job again. But I will say top performers learn to play the corporate game a little bit. We actually have a podcast that's coming out. I'm not sure if it's out at the time of this video or not. It will be very soon. But I think there's a lot of people who think, oh, I'm just going to be a lone wolf. I'm just going to hit 150% of my number. The rest will take care of itself. And pending the company you're at, that may, work for a while. But I will say top performers learn to play the game, never, stabbing people in the back or never doing anything unethical. But I do think I see a lot of people who are just, maybe they are hitting their number. Maybe they don't want to take the extra 5 hours a week to go above and beyond, especially early in their career. And come promotion time, someone like me who is willing to go to the extra mile to make sure I get that next promotion or that next paycheck or whatever it might be, those are the people that are winning and picking their spots. Again, I'm not saying be unethical. I don't throw people under the bus. I don't backstab people, but you've got to learn to stand up for yourself. You've got to learn to, if you're just hitting quota, know that that's not enough and make sure that your wins in moderation are being seen in the right way by leadership. And if there's any of these points I can elaborate on even more in the future, let me know. Again, generally hate the mindset stuff. If you're focused on mindset versus actually learning from top performers in your job, in my opinion, you're doing it wrong. Start with the top performers, start with the tactics, and then over time, if you are really into this tech sales career for a 5 to 10 to 20 year timeline, now we can talk about mindset. Now we can talk about mental health and the fitness in it. But again, if you're just getting into it, or maybe you've only been putting 20 to 40 hours a week in, and you really haven't pushed yourself to see what you're capable of, start there. That's going to start to unveil all these things that then become important when it comes to mindset. But I don't know. Hopefully you guys got something out of this rant. Currently on vacation right now, just kind of reflecting on tech sales as a whole, my own career. And comment below if you have any other questions on any of these topics, or I can make a follow-up. But we'll see you guys in the new year.